Good morning, my love muffins, and good morning, my cyberspace muffins.
Good morning. Good morning.
Just had a lovely week vacation traveling with my younger sister, driving, talking. It's amazing how you can get in a car and go for like 15 hours and somehow not run out of things to say. So you'll all be pleased to know that we solved the problems of the world during that ride, so everybody can just relax and know that things are going to be easy and well. Well, at least we talked about the problems of the world. And we tried to solve the problems of our own inner world. You know what I mean? That brutal voice that just, we know better, and we tell it to shut up, but it doesn't seem to shut up. So we talked a lot about those voices and those ideas and those thoughts that we constantly have about, we could have, we should have, we're not doing enough, we're not. Phew, if we could shed ourselves of that, we would all be 100 pounds lighter, wouldn't we? Yeah. And I was sharing with her that I find I have less to say lately, and even less need to say what little I do have to say. And that somehow observing and listening is becoming just more automatic or more comfortable for me. And that's a bit of an occupational hazard for a preacher and a teacher. We're supposed to have a lot to say. But I had an interesting revelation while I was meditating about this particular sermon. And what came to me was, I'm not here because I think I have something important to say. I'm here because I think I have something important to become. I think we all have something important to become. The truth of who we really are. Know the truth? There's only God. There's only one presence, love. There's only one power, law. And there's only one condition, good. This is the divine design. But the presence and the power of God necessitates that what we become is a matter of principle and practice, of our knowing the truth and our then living the truth. And our living the truth is dependent on our clarity about principle, our clarity about what truth actually is. So we can be very clear about what it is that we're practicing. If we're foggy about principle or we're foggy about the truth, then our practice effectiveness is compromised. So we have to clear up the fog somehow. And when it comes to what truth is, we all proclaim to know the truth, and then as we walk through our week and try to live it, we constantly make affirmations that are inconsistent with what we ourselves believe. Ernest Holmes liked to remind students of truth on this clarity journey. Whatever it is that clears up the fog will not be conscious of the fog, where it will get foggier. That's an interesting statement, isn't it? Whatever it is that clears up the fog won't even be conscious of the fog, or else it will get foggier. And I can be very conscious of the fog. Know the truth. Who knows the truth? How do we know the truth? And who am I to claim that I know the truth? And who am I to try to be teaching other people what truth is? I can get very foggy about this principle of truth. My sister and I were getting a pedicure when we were down here, and this lovely lady walked in and sat down beside us and was all smiling, and how are you today? Oh, I'm blessed. I just came from church and heard the good news, and the pastor was talking about the end of times. And I went, oh, isn't that joyous? And she was so passionate about it. It was so absolute. And I believe something so completely different to be true. Personally, I think that idea of truth, the idea of Judgment Day and the end of times, and I think those beliefs hold people in fear. I think it holds them in bondage. It's not the truth, I believe, yet she believed it very passionately. Maybe it is the truth. I don't honestly know what the truth is, and yet that's what we're here to do, to learn and proclaim and live the truth. So this revelation for me of, I'm not here because I think I have something important to say. I'm here because I have something important to become. Whatever truth we believe in, all the religions and the philosophies and, the golden thread that unites them all is always about grace and good. It's always about love and compassion and peace and harmony and unity with our human family. So knowing this is true in any religion, in any belief system, this is what we're called to become. So it kind of makes sense, that idea of, if we're going to clear up the fog, we can't be aware of the fog or it'll get foggier. And the directive is very clear. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It doesn't say ponder the truth. It doesn't say question the truth. It doesn't say debate the truth. It says know the truth. That's perfectly clear. And I typically find that the clarity that we need about knowing the truth is relative to the dual nature of God. The deeply and profoundly personal nature of God as love, and the absolute impersonal nature of God as law. The unconditional love of God will never forsake us, even if we doubt its existence, even if we behave in ways that we think are unworthy, even if we identify ourselves as sinners that deserve punishment. This profoundly personal, mystical aspect of God that is love will never forsake us. God unconditionally loves us and will always love us. And the flow of good for us and through us is never stopped. We don't have to earn it. We don't have to prove ourselves worthy of it. We were born worthy of it. We began worthy of it. It's not where we end up, it's where we started out. So there is this mystical nature of absolute, unconditional love and support for each one of us. But the law of God, the mechanical aspect of God, will never fail us either, but neither will it do us any personal favors. We don't get any kind of special experience because of our religion, because of our race, because of our status in life, because of our accomplishments, because of our achievements, because of our intentions, because of our begging, praying for forgiveness, our repenting, our no special favors. It's absolutely impersonal. It operates and gives to all alike. The presence, the love of God gives. The power and the law of God obeys. We decide what the unconditional love of God gives us. Law decides nothing. Law simply delivers what the content, what the atmosphere of our consciousness, of our idea, of our belief is about truth. So we all allow or resist our well-being in varying degrees, but the stream of that goodness, the stream of that grace never stops flowing to us. This is the divine design, and it really couldn't be more clear. And it couldn't be easier in principle. So design or default. There's a spiritual law and there is a physical law. and both govern our life experience. One is by divine design. One is by learning and choosing and deciding and believing and conditioning and programming our individual vehicle or individual vessel that is the expression of God in what we are going to believe. What God has made is always superior to what we have made. So design is always superior to this default program that we have running as a result of the conclusions we've reached throughout our life experiences. God's law, spiritual law, is always superior to physical law. But learned over and over again, physical law can act as if it's superior. If it gets more attention, if it gets more energy, more strength, more momentum, more belief, more conviction, it can act as if it is superior because the law never decides. It just delivers. And there are so many aspects of our journey of practicing our belief and growing into becoming the truth of who we are that run up against exactly this idea. The beliefs that we arrive at because of our life experience and the physical laws that prove them to be true, and this belief of this greater superior law. And I've found myself very challenged with this over the last months that we have had in our prayer ministry. So many of our congregation members struggling with different types of health issues, and we have prayed and prayed and prayed our little hearts out. And my own surgery, I was convinced when I came home this week and saw the doctor, he's going to say, well, you don't need surgery. For some reason, it's all fixed. Why? Because I do believe spiritual law is superior to physical law. I don't believe there's a bone in our body. I don't believe there's a cell in our body. I don't believe there's an organ in our body that if we could hold this idea of God streaming that flow, that love, that unconditional goodness to us, it wouldn't spontaneously correct, because that's the divine design. And I believed it. I believed. And I was so disappointed when I went and sat with the surgeon and he talked about the surgery I need to have done. So how do we live this? This belief versus all this physical evidence in our life about our health, about our relationships, about our harmony, about our peace, about our joy. Our limitations are learned and accepted. They're simply programmed into our subconscious. They're internalized inside us as truth, but they're not the truth. We constantly need to remind ourselves they're not the truth. They are a physical truth, what has proven to be a physical truth. They are not the truth. They just seem to be truth. They just act as if they're true because of that lifetime of recording and conditioning these beliefs. All things are possible with God. We've heard that, right? All things are possible with God. Impossible is not a fact. It simply is an opinion. I came across a story while I was preparing for this. It said a small congregation in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains built a church on a piece of land left to them by a church member in his will. 10 days before the new church was to open, the local building inspector informed the pastor that the parking lot was inadequate for the size of the building. Until the church doubled the size of the parking lot, they would not be able to open and use their new sanctuary. Unfortunately, the church had used every inch of their land except for the mountain against which it had been built. In order to build more parking spaces, they would have to move the mountain out of the backyard. The pastor, undaunted, immediately requested that all members who had mountain moving faith come that evening to a meeting. So if I asked all members that have mountain moving faith, come to a meeting tonight. How many people would be here? Raise your hands, raise them high. Yeah, mountain moving faith. But out of their 300 congregation, 24 people showed up. 24 mountain movers. And they prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for about 3 hours until the pastor said the final amen and felt they had reached a place of resolution of knowing the truth of God being the superior law. And he said, thank you very much, and we'll open next Sunday as scheduled. He assured everyone, God has never let us down before, and I believe God is not going to let us down now. The next morning, a rough-looking construction foreman appeared at the door of the pastor's office. Excuse me, Reverend, I'm from Acme Construction Company over in the next county. We're building a huge new shopping mall over there, and we need some fill dirt. Would you be willing to sell us a chunk of that mountain behind your church? We'll pay for the dirt we remove and pave all the exposed areas for free if we can do it right away. Church opened as scheduled. Mountain moving faith. We get locked into all those physical laws. Can't be done. And it immediately translates into us not becoming who we're meant to be. And immediately builds a hurdle, builds an obstacle to the flow of who we're meant to be. Design or default. I'm not here because I think I have something important to say. I'm here because I think I have something important to become. To become my God-intended design, not to live by default. Consciousness creates. What we believe, what we believe we receive. And when we say consciousness creates, our consciousness is not creating a perfect body or a perfect idea. It is revealing an idea which is already perfect. The divine design already resides within us. We are revealing it. We are not creating it. Our healing and our rising, our becoming, is not a process. It is a revelation. So a new practice for me this week after that little revelation was, I'm going to practice, God practices unconditional love. I'm going to practice unconditional well-being. Knowing that well-being is my nature, right? The goodness and grace of this divine design is my birthright. It's my spiritual heritage. It is the divine design. How many of us practice unconditional well-being? Even though I'm having my foot operated on unconditional well-being, I am always in the hands and the heart and the profound, personal, unconditional love of the Creator. Always, 100% of the time. So I might feel out of step. I might be experiencing something out of step, but my well-being is never compromised. And part of this journey is reminding myself that the truth of my spiritual being, the truth of my superior spiritual law, is continuously remodeling and remaking my physical being and my physical experiences and circumstances always. The flow is never severed. I can block it. I can put obstacles in its flow, but it's never severed. So impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. And I've chosen to believe it's not my opinion anymore. I don't believe in impossible. I believe impossible, regardless of what I'm seeing in front of my face. And so the goal is, how do you practice this unconditional well-being? And you surround yourself with stories that push the boundaries of what we previously thought was possible. Anybody like nice cars? Anybody ever eyeball one of those Jaguars or Porsches or something and say, oh, I'd love to have one of them, and then you go, yeah, I could buy 3 houses for that car. You saw one in the parking lot at Publix the other day. I was like, oh my Lord, what kind of car is that? I'm sure that costs more than my house. Well, my brother told a great story about a guy he worked with years ago who wanted a Porsche. He didn't have any money, but that didn't matter. He wanted a Porsche. $150,000 car. No money to pay for it. But it didn't deter him at all. He just envisioned himself in the Porsche, worthy of the Porsche. The Porsche was his. And he would behave as if the Porsche was his. He went out and test drove them. He would look at all the ads and he'd look in the trade journals at these Porsches. But one day, this guy sees an ad for the exact Porsche he wanted for $500. No, obviously it was a typo, it was a mistake. But that didn't stop him. So he called the person who was advertising it and met with them. And she had explained that her husband had recently passed away and that the Porsche was hers, was his. And he said, well, I can't buy this Porsche for $500. That's a grave mistake. And she said, oh, no, it's not a mistake at all. This car is $500. She said, you could get $150,000 for this car. No, it's $500. She said, you know, after my husband died, I found out he had a mistress. And he left the mistress the Porsche or the proceeds from the sale of the Porsche. So $500 will do fine. All right. Well, there's an infallible law, so everybody got what was coming to them, but one person coming to them had the expansive idea of there's no such thing as impossible. Unconditional well-being. What if we could actually recognize that even though we might not be living our highest good at any particular moment in time, that we were in the active process of becoming? What if all through our day we realized, no matter what was happening, that we were becoming? We were we didn't have any choice about it. We're evolving, we're expanding. God has planted that urge in us. We can't silence it if we want to. That's why people come here. There is something in them that says, I know the world can be a better place. I know I can be a better person. And I know part of that better person is not about beating myself up. It's about cherishing myself and understanding our uniqueness and our diversity and our unity and how amazing we are and that we are the expression of this divine creator who loves every single one of us. We are living in an atmosphere, a universe of well-being. Imagine if we could actually bring that idea, that momentum, that emotion into the circumstances of our day. In reality, that's what revelation is. Our circumstances didn't change, but we changed. That revelation changes the way we think. It changes the way we feel. It changes the consciousness we hold. And it begins to remove and eliminate any obstacles that we've put in the path of that stream of God's grace flowing to and through us. I know I've shared this story before, but I thought it was cute. A father and son were walking through a toy store when the son saw one of those inflate 'em, sock 'em, knock 'em down things, and he had never seen one before. So the father saw the boy take his little boxer stance, and get right up there and pound that little inflatable boxer dummy, which immediately went down to the ground. But as soon as it went down to the ground, of course, Mr. Boxer jumped right back up again. A little confused, the boy backed off and he kind of stared at it, and then he got in his little boxing stance and went up to it again and began to spar with it and left and right and watching it go down and come up and go down and come up. Finally, the father said to him, why do you suppose when you hit Mr. Boxer and knock him down, he keeps coming back up again? The profoundism of children. And the boy thought for a minute and he said, I don't know, but I guess it's because he's standing up on the inside. Now there's a concept. Because he's standing up on the inside, you can't knock him down. He's just going to keep rising. I'm not here because I think I have something important to say. I'm here because I think we have something important to become. The truth of who we really are. We're here to stand up on the inside. To know our unconditional well-being, even while we're suffering through the evidence of physical law playing out in our life in a way that we don't want it to. That's revelation. That's finding that place within that communes and connects with that unconditional love. Well-being is not in things. It is in us. The mind can understand well-being conceptually, but only the heart can experience it. Only the heart can find that place of centering, of just knowing our rightness, our goodness, our enoughness, our belongingness, our purposefulness, our importance. We can only experience well-being, and we can only cultivate well-being in the everyday moments of life. So let's take advantage of the ever available opportunity from moment to moment in our ordinary everyday to know this truth of our extraordinary heritage and birthright. Because even though well-being is our nature, it must become natural to us before it can expand through us. It's got to become natural for us to center in this place of well-being and just know, despite everything that's going on that maybe hurts my heart or worries me, my birthright, my heritage is well-being. And it's only in these moments in life, in our thoughts and our words and our feelings and our actions, that it can actually become natural to us. I have something important to become. We have something important to become. So your mission, if you so choose to accept it, stand up on the inside. Say it with me. Stand up on the inside. So when you're looking around and you're praying for those people who are sick and you feel like you're being knocked down, stand up on the inside. Knowing unconditional well-being. We are not the people that will deliver us to our destiny, but we are growing into them every moment and every day. And I'm so thrilled to be part of this community of love muffins, of people that just, despite the challenges in life, just keep holding this place of, I know there's better, I know there's more, and I know I have an important role in that. So God bless you all, and I am so honored to be on this path with you. We can't go back and make a new start, but we can start now and make a new ending. We are the people, now is the time, and this is the way. Namaste, my muffins.